Taking a deep breath, we are in the pilot episode of Yam. I Am. And what is I Am? I Am is bite-sized content that's going to be intentional and a little unscripted also at the same time, but it's really about bite-sized pieces. And without further ado, as we kick off this pilot episode, I have co-host Dan Roth.
How are we doing?
Hey, we're great. We're great.
Thanks for doing this. I actually did. I also wore a orange shirt to kind of go with the yam theme, but it's cold, so
No, it's all good. We got here. We'll pretend that that's a little yam right there.
There we go. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, this was your idea in terms of that's what's really exciting about what we're doing as a collective is exploring. And you had mentioned the yam being like I am, but in a Popeye voice. So it turned into that. And I'm like, that's really, really clever. There's that inner creative, like totally flexing and popping out. And I'm going to let you speak to it a little bit more, but like to me, it makes me think of bite-sized pieces.
It's funny because you talk about Popeye, right? And like spinach, and we're talking about yams. It's a real superfood theme. So you're getting all your nourishment. And that's really
Right.
kind of the idea, talking as experienced creatives. Our goal, I think all of us, is we want to do strong work. We want to build a strong network. Other channels, you can find plans and playbooks to 10x or make your exit or become a unicorn or whatever it is you want to do. But if you want to stick around and build something, there's going to be ups and downs. But if you want to have that meaningful part of it, that fulfillment, you're going to need people to talk to. You're going to need people to bounce ideas off of. For me, I find it's very helpful to talk to people who have been there and who understand. So you're not doing a lot of work explaining, well, creative work is like XYZ, because there's so many one-size solutions for sitting in an office banging at Excel.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I think we speak to that a lot, during our larger lives on Thursday nights, about being in a spot where people do speak the language. And that's like, that's not even a cheeky thing. That's really real. We really are speaking the language. And we have a couple of those events where we welcome multiple people up onto the screen so people can, mesh and gel. But even when we're doing the one-on-one interviews with people, depending on the series, people in the comment section they're blowing it up because they can see themselves in that thing that is being talked about. I know you've heard me say before, but when we congregate, we accelerate. And it's really, really true. And to keep an algorithm satisfied, there are certain reps you need to be willing to do every day to stay there. The problem is that's not sustainable for the long game. I joke, it's kind of like that candy bar commercial. Some days, the Mounds and Almond Joy, sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're like, I'm totally in it to win it, and I can play this algorithm thing for X amount of days. But then sometimes you don't feel like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, right. I want to go feel grass on my feet. I want to go breathe some fresh air. I want to know it's okay to go for a walk. So we can get stuck in those wide open platforms, those open networks that are geared to make you stay there.
It's a good way to transition to our theme. Our theme, so what we're going to try to do is work out a theme in a brief format on a regular basis. How we work within that theme. This is going to evolve. It's going to change, hopefully with feedback about what's important to talk about. But what I've always found is that having those discussions with people who are doing similar things in a real way is where I find the growth. The algorithms, if you're trying to build your presence on YouTube or one of the other social networks or TikTok, you need to show up, but that consistency becomes your boss because of the way it's designed.
That's right.
You need to feed it, and the things that you need to feed it, if you're looking at all of the metrics, because unfortunately, it's really easy to measure everything now. So that's all we do is measure everything. You wind up going for the things that give you the biggest engagement, give you the biggest reaction, the most comments, all of those numbers, versus doing it for the fulfillment, the satisfaction. Yes,
So
you want the good results, but there's that idea of putting something original out there.
no, I love that you're saying that, because like giving it wings. We can be really burdened by the narratives of an uncurated open space. The open channels are not curated. You can try to conform it and like put double bells next to people you really want to follow and hope that it complies with what your wish is. But from a creative's standpoint, and you're going to get this, right? It's about, we do want to show up and we want to do our best work. And it's not about being competitive with somebody else. It's about being competitive with our personal best, because we know when we're showing up, we know when we're wet crackers. The problem is when you let that impression or that metric or that like count, that dopamine drip, to infiltrate the beauty of why you became a creative in the first place. They're not friends. They're not friends, because it's like an artist can be like, let's use an oil painter. I want to go down to the ocean and I want to paint a picture. Okay, go do that. Well, now I got to worry about camera angles, and oh my gosh, it's maybe too windy, and from that angle, and then the lighting. So now it's about trying to take people on a journey, but you're losing your particular emotional investment in the journey, because you're trying to make sure that you're satisfying a perfect stranger rather than satisfying your soul and executing the thing.
I think that's why I landed on the idea of consistency, because it's why are you showing up? I find it really hard to stay engaged when it becomes, when the number becomes a patron, where I'm working for that number versus the numbers are a way for me to understand how what I'm doing is resonating. And I'm not doing the things I do in terms of creative endeavors. There's art for commerce, and that we all do that. You got to earn a living. That's a lot more straightforward, right? Somebody gives you a commission, gives you an assignment. You do it. They give you feedback. You work until they're satisfied. Then you bill them. You're good. Yeah. But if you're putting creative work out or something more original out, and you're building a presence, you do need to show up. You do need to be consistent. But why are you doing it? What's your why is the question. That's what makes it easy or hard to be consistent. It can feel like there's people just like shoot to success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. So somewhere along the line, you're putting in the nights, you're putting in the days, you're just doing it. And it's
putting in the reps. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. Like even when you don't feel it, even when it's not your best work, because they're not all going to be your favorites, but the work will get better. You will get better. It's going to get noticed, and that's, I think, the real thing to just keep in mind. And that this is how I stay consistent.
We're learning together.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about necessarily either finding the muse. Like that's a whole separate thing. But the first part of it, creative is a discipline, and it is a way of thinking. It's an operating system, and they're not all the same, but there are things that there's practices you can put in place. If you have that creative itch, I've got projects that I've sat on for like 10 years, and I'm sure you do as well.
Exactly. Perfect example. We didn't even do this part. You're a creative, I'm a creative, but we have totally different disciplines. What is your discipline, and what is your creative discipline? We're two humans.
Sure.
And we share creativity, so that's like our hub, but there's a lot of spokes. So I want people to understand who's talking here. Tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. I do words and pictures mostly. So a lot of copy in at the early creative stage. So before anything goes on paper, got something you want to talk about, you want people to understand and communicate. I'm in at that stage, and then I will figure out how we bring that to life with copy. With words, with a concept. We'll hang a concept or three off of it and figure out how we're going to communicate it so that it sticks. And then we'll go bring those concepts to life with visuals, with video, with audio. And it's not not just advertising or creating programming. It's what really conveys what we're doing. And yeah, I did come out of advertising and TV production, but it's not always for commerce. Sometimes it's just for enjoyment. What's your lane, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a professional illustrator with an automotive bent. I've worked with some of the largest names in the automotive market, and I've done complete solid branding packages for automotive events, be it a small cruise in or be it the largest Mopar event in the nation. You know, from the visual on the T-shirt to the drag and drop on the landing page to the lanyard to the sticker to the posters to the hero cards, everything, well, is a bundle. I'm building a different bundle than you. We're still building a bundle. We're building a complete experience. So like for me, if I'm working for the largest event in the United States of a particular brand, it needs to present itself as the largest. It doesn't look like a Thursday night cruising at a root beer stand. It has a sense of destination. It has to have a sense of self-selection. So that way, when somebody is a fan of that particular brand, they see this thing, they self-select themselves. They have to be a part of this thing. That all comes from a recipe of building that project in the first place. So that's you and me.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of overlaps, though, because as you're even talking and what you just said, I mean, I can feel it, you know, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to talk and to team up. And yeah, I love that. I wish I had the little gallery wall behind me like you've got with some of your work where people can see the output.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's even if it's not my discipline, that's it. I can still get inspired by it, and I can still hopefully offer inspiration as well.
Well, I know where you can get a bunch of these banners.
Good.
At wholesale.
Nice. Yeah, we'll put a link down in the thing.
Yeah.
Can Venmo. Have you ever had a gym membership?
No.
Okay. A lot of people that do.
I know all about it. I mean, it's a great.
They don't stick with it, but you get the people that do it for 3 months. You give yourself 90 days. At the end of that 90 days, you want it. It becomes necessary for you to put in the reps every day or every other day, or you know, however often you do it. You just have to get some reps in, and that's the same thing that translates to any kind of discipline that builds on itself. And that's what creative is. That's what I've found. And yeah, I'd be curious if you also see that through just going from your joy of drawing as a kid to you went to art school in Boston and you discovered. I don't think you went there with the idea that you were going to become a trained sign painter, but it worked out. You found a thing you loved, and it's sort of opened those doors. And throughout all of those stages, you were challenged. You rose to the challenge, and the way you did that was you showed up. You put in the reps, even when you weren't like that jazzed about it.
Yeah, the stuff that scares the crap out of you when you get to the other side of that's you're building inventory, not inventory in terms of arrogance. You're pushing through humility, and humility is a beautiful thing. So when you can fight something, also when you can build a space, not necessarily like what we're doing here, but when you can build a friendship, you and I are friends on and off camera. We're just friends. And it's like, if I need an assist, well, friends come along and assist. And that's what we do. But yeah, you know, traveling that journey, there's a lot of scary crap that happens along the way, like the doubt, just being human nature. But if you want stuff bad enough, yeah, you're going to put in the reps. You might even bleed a little bit for it.
You do it while you doubt. You do it while you're uncomfortable. You just do it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, what would you want when you're on these open networks? You know, you and I are on a couple of these channels together, but I'm more attracted to real world conversation. Like, I want to feel like I can identify with the person. And I know that we're supposed to kind of teach all the time or this, that, or the other, because that's what that platform likes. But I'm just not there to be a teacher as much. I mean, I got stuff I can share with people, but I'm more to be a storyteller, you know?
Yeah. I think it's the obvious passion. So when you're out on the open networks, or even here, we'll strike on a topic of conversation that somebody's passionate about, and somebody else shares the passion, and that's where you start to have the actual sharing. It's just something you know deeply about. You share what you've found out or how you've connected it to other things,
That's
and
right.
that's where the knowledge kind of gets handed off, and that passion becomes, it's obvious, versus something that's very curated in the sense of like you're always selling. You need to shoot the breeze a bit.
Yeah, like
It's
things I
just like in
learned.
person. We just chatted about your Volvo wagon, right? Like it's because it's a relationship between people, and yet within that, there's other branches of the conversation that happen, and now we know something about each other, and
Sure.
so that's what you don't get on with a lot of the sort of very focused. If you're always trying to build a personal brand, and that comes back to why are you doing it?
Hmm.
And if you're doing it just because you love it and you're excited, that passion is going to be palpable, and you're going to have a good natural balance of just, talking smack about the stuff you love, and then every now and then you'll get down to something where you have something to offer. There's a professional deal to go down, or something, but it is really just like building that in-person network, and that is missing in a lot of these interactions where
Yeah.
it's like, it's buy my system, and it's like, your system, it doesn't always work. Like, I'm interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it, but like
I
sometimes
agree. I
it's,
appreciate that. I appreciate that because it's about like I don't just want a member in that space. I don't just want a follower count. I can't, and
mm,
we can't know everything about everybody. And with that follower count comes a bigger net to cast. Cool, great. As long as you're going out there early before sunrise and casting your nets, which is like priming your algorithm, you're going to maybe catch a lot of fish. But when I start doing that, or when we start doing that, all right, I shouldn't say we. I should only speak to my own truth. Something gets lost there, and it just starts feeling like the whole funnel thing. And I'm not anti-funnel. Funnels work if used properly, especially if you're casting your net for a good reason. But that's not the motivation behind this. For me, I just built this thing, what we're doing right now, but it's about, I started this thing, but then everybody as a collective starts building this. It's a we thing.
right.
But I built it. I started this thing because, well, I needed it and it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
It's not yours anymore, by the way. It's ours now.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. It lives and breathes. And I tell people it's like building a house, and then everybody makes it the house party. Aside from that, it's just a big empty house. No one speaks my language out there. I want to be in this place
Right.
here. Right. So that's what we do.
And I think it's good. It's good to be able to talk about it, and hopefully this conversation brings some value. I would really like to hear how other people practice that consistency. Like for me, I almost need to be really rigid about it and block my calendar. And you know the times of day where you're most productive, and you try to take advantage of that. And it's not like a culty kind of thing. It's not like
No,
anything like that. It's just like, hey, drop this down here. Maybe list
no,
these things out. Get them out of your head.
You know,
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
whiteboard. I don't look at it all the time, but I know that it was doing me no good behind me. It's up here in front of me, where if I take things down to put that there. I liked what was there before, but what was there before was for pleasure. The whiteboard serves a purpose. It needs to be where I'm going to see it because I just know me.
You'll get a different sort of satisfaction out of it as you start to cross things off, right?
That's right. That's right. Actually, but on that whiteboard, I have Post-it notes for the things I cross off. That whiteboard is actually set up as a spine. Specific things have to happen on specific days. And so those are ride or die things. But anyway, you were talking earlier about, us knowing ourselves. And I'm a 70-30 person. I book out to 70% capacity and I leave 30% wiggle. I need to have the wiggle because life happens. And it's really important to step off of all these things that we're doing and get a walk in. go outside and take some cleansing breaths. Like you just can't be turned on all the time.
No, and that's great. That's so true. I tend to work in bursts. Like I'll do a little bit of, often high intensity work, and then I need to get up. And thankfully the weather's a little better now, so I'm not going for a snack. but that, like, you get moving, you get that, you do something completely unrelated. It's why people have a lot of epiphanies in the shower or while they're driving, because you've disconnected from the task at hand, and you can kind of loop freely, and that's where you get the light bulb. Yeah,
that's right. Like I've got, once a week I put out the newsletter, because tomorrow on a Thursday we are always going live. So on Wednesdays, the day before, I put out a newsletter. I don't carpet bomb our family members, but once a week. But it was supposed to happen this morning. But life happens. I had other things that needed to go in that spot. I'll put out the newsletter today. It'll be done before the sun goes down. It'll probably be done in the next hour, and it'll be out. But it's not like, oh my gosh, I didn't have it out by 10:32 this morning. Now right. People might not read it because they were used to it being, no, as long as it goes out today, I'm good with that.
It's just specifically if you're building a content presence, or some kind of thing where there's an audience. There often feels like there's that pressure to publish often, to be fast, and the amazing thing happens though when you inadvertently or on purpose take a week off, and you'll find that your numbers don't necessarily go down if you pay attention to the numbers. Sometimes they actually go up because your stuff has a little bit longer to live.
Yeah.
And that's really where there is an obsession with speed, and I feel that pressure a lot. And it's better to don't be lackadaisical. Have to show up, but also figure out your pace and what is.
There you go. There's the yam right there. Write that down. Write down speed. Speed versus quality. Like we can totally unpack a bite-sized 10-minute on that.
Yeah, man.
And hey, everybody, I love this because you're actually seeing two people thinking out loud right now. And we were 10 minutes in or 14 minutes in before I'm like, hey, why don't we explain to these people who we are? Because we are different disciplines. And we'll start it off, we'll build from this, but it's the willingness to go. And when people get into such analysis paralysis because things have to be perfect. No, it does not have to be perfect. People actually appreciate living and breathing and organic.
Yeah. People are forgiving. And especially now in the age of AI, where a lot of stuff, especially creative assets, look super duper polished. I think, and maybe tell me if you think this too, but I think there's going to be a shift in human created assets. Like we're going to shift back to stuff that's created by people for the sense of authenticity, and we're going to build in mistakes so that it's really obvious that a person did this. And I'm not sure how much I love the build in mistakes part of it, but I understand it. I think it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, when we, without segueing too far away, but when Apple did that Apple ad that got all kinds of traction back at the turn of the year, the actual lighting and everything was built by hand, in the face of the AI stuff, that there was something really, you could sink your teeth into it. And you rallied for it just for the sake of how it was built and why it was built a certain way. It wasn't something that was knocked out in the afternoon with a prompt. It was something that was painstaking, and it took a team. Yeah, good stuff.
To kind of encapsulate anything you're doing, whether it's AI, whether it's, copywriting, whether it's, the artwork that you do, or some of the other guys on the network, they work at automakers, and they developing concept art or consumer packaged goods. The benefits of consistency that I have found first is it's free mostly. You just show up and do the thing, and it's like a really good bank account, or an investment. I guess it's an investment.
Sure.
Right? You get compound improvements that your interest, it compounds, that you get better and you build on that. And the discipline all the time makes room for inspiration some of the time, because you remove. I find I get anxious when I don't get to tinker. So you have to let off some of that pressure, whether or not you're super inspired. If you know you're going to have that time, like, hey, in the morning from 8:30 to 9:30, that's my time to play a little bit with this thing. You're gonna bring inspiration to that versus like being real stressed out about it. So the discipline and the structure, as much as a lot of us probably don't like structure because it can feel like handcuffs, it does help. And I think getting back to what we talked about, like with the shower, with the like on the walk, any kind of opportunity you can give yourself to lower the stakes. The low stakes equal high exploration, and the exploration is where you get the breakthroughs. With any creative endeavor, that's the way it works. Versus here, do all these things because it equals money on the other side.
Yeah,
I mean, money is nice. Everybody likes to survive, but the flip side is, is that why you're doing it? If that's why you're doing it, maybe another line of work would be a faster way to money versus creative.
Well, that's like back to where we started as we close this out. It's not about building big, it's about building kind. And, when you put that out there, those particular people find it. They find it, So I always say, like, you'll see those banners, open to network. Sure. But how about open to win? Let's go win. Let's go win. Yeah. Well, I think that this is pretty awesome that we just scoped out our pilot episode in the wild for people to listen. And hey, folks, that's how we do it, and we are going to be doing these, every other week right now?
We'll try every other week. Yeah. Yeah.
If something happens where we're like, no, I have a great idea, let's flex this thing, well, then we'll make it happen.
But we did just talk about consistency, so hopefully we are.
We will
consistent ourselves.
So. We will. I can absolutely hold that every other week without a problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. I can talk at you for 20 minutes. It's fine. It's been like a half an hour. But I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate anybody who checks it out. And I really hope that we hear from you. Like, if there's one call to action, I know we're kind of burying it at the end a little bit, but tell us if you think we're full of it. Tell us if it lines up with your way of thinking. Happy to be called out or to have things, have a question asked, all that stuff. Let's make it a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make it a conversation. And we're here for you guys that aren't on camera with us, because we want you to feel seen and heard in this spot and that you can identify with it. Well, Mr. Roth, I really appreciate that we just chalked this one off. And here's to the next one.